welcome to episode 37 of the Slow Crafting Podcast. My name's Nadine and I'm coming to you today from the northwest of England near Manchester. Now, this is a bi-weekly podcast about knitting, spinning, sewing and crochet, and trying to incorporate a slow living and slow fashion agenda into my crafting endeavours. Now, I've got quite a bit to talk to you about today because I've got some finished objects that aren't part of my plan. Well, they were part of my plan for the year, but they're not part of my 4 outfits for the year. And I'm going to go through the plan for outfit number 1 for the first 3 months of this year, and then talk to you about some spinning as well, because I've been doing some of that. Okay, we'll start with the finished objects. Okay, now I've got 2 finished objects to show you. The first is a pair of leg warmers. It's the Simidar pattern by Melanie Berg. I don't know how well. It's just all very brown. Yeah, so they've got a picot top and then an eyelet section, and then repeated at the bottom. Oh, that's a bit better. Light's a bit better. So yes, I made 2 of those. I'll put a photograph in so you can see them a bit better. But I made those for my day trip out to Ireland because it was meant to be cold, and then it wasn't, and I melted. But they were really easy to make, and I was slightly worried that they weren't going to fit because I do have ginormous calves because I do a lot of walking. But the pattern, I didn't have to change anything, and it fitted really nicely. They are very generously sized, I will say that, so I don't know how people with skinny legs would get on with it, but it's the yarn that I used was some that was on a cone that I got from a charity shop for like 50p, but it was real wool. I think there is a strand of nylon in there as well, just as a binder, because it was quite loosely spun yarn. But I had to use, I think, 3 strands together to get a sport weight, which is what the pattern was written for, I think, and it was on 3.5mm needles, and it fitted really nicely, and they're really comfy. And when I wear them with my, because I can't fit them inside a boot, no. Muscly calves and knee-high boots, no. So I wear them with my ankle boots and just have them going over the top, and they look really nice. I thought they'd make my legs look massive, but they look the normal size that they are. But yes, I've had them on this morning as well when I went out to do the school run, because it was quite cold. But I thought, oh, they make me really happy. My other half was, sorry, my phone decided it was full. Yeah, I was saying that my other half was less convinced about my wearing of leg warmers. He did ask me if I was ploughing my own style for her, to which I replied, yes indeed I am. Thinking, have we not met before? But yes, so a big thumbs up for those. The pattern was straightforward, really easy, good shaping that worked for my legs. Not convinced it would work for somebody with skinny legs though. Right, the second pattern that I finished, or second item that I finished, is these beautiful mittens. Now, the pattern for this is the Dotty mittens by Jenny Aldebrandt. I'll put another picture of the finished pair in as well. And I've used hand spun yarn, so the yellowy orange is some hand spun Ile-de-France fibre that I spun and then dyed with just some Wilton's food colouring, because the original pattern for this is in the dark brown and an orangey yellowy colour, and I really liked that and thought I want them almost exactly like they are in the pattern. And then the dark brown in my version is some hand spun Black Welsh Mountain. Now they were meant to be a fingering weight wool, and well, I used a 3mm needle. It said somewhere between a 2 and a 3 depending on how tight you knit, but I know that I do knit really tightly with colour work, so I went up to the biggest size needle. And my yellow was actually probably nearer to a DK weight rather than a fingering, so my gauge wasn't correct, but I knew that, and once I'd done the cuff, I knew that it was going to be sort of the right size width wise, but as it turned out, I had more rows, or more length per row than the original pattern, so it does miss off the top bit of the pattern as written, and my thumbs are a bit short because obviously everything was longer than it needed to be, so my thumb opening was higher up than it needed to be, so I've just got a little short thumb flap, but they work, they fit nicely, not perfectly but not uncomfortably either, so I absolutely love them. But the reason I used a DK weight rather than a fingering weight is because I wanted to dye some wool yellow to match the pattern, because it reminded me of a coffee set that I had when I was a student, which I still have, I think, at my parents' somewhere. It was a gorgeous, gaudy thing from the 1970s, which I'd found in a charity shop. But it reminded me of those, so I knew I wanted it in the brown and the yellow, but the only white hand spun that I had was this, well actually no, I had some Lincoln long wool, but that was really rough and scratchy, so I didn't want to use that. I used the only other hand spun that I had, ooh, I nearly sneezed then, that was white at the time was this Ile de France, but that was, like I said, a DK weight. But I'm glad that I actually used a DK weight, because it means that the gloves are actually wide enough now, because I have quite small hands compared to the rest of me, and I think if I'd have knitted it on the stitch count that it gave with 2 fingering weight yarns, then they'd have been too small, so I don't know how anybody else would have managed, people with bigger hands. But there was another thing actually that bugged me about the pattern. See where the thumb is, it didn't give you the reverse, because it was charted, but it didn't give you the reverse charting for the opposite hand. It only gave you one thumb position, and basically just said just reverse it for the other one, which wasn't easy because you have this pattern on the other side, so it took some concentration to get it all right, and then I'm not sure that it did as it was supposed to in this bit above the thumb shaping, so I don't think that they're completely matching, but I don't mind because they're that busy that a little bit of pattern mismatching isn't going to be noticed. So yes, that's my finished objects. I'm really pleased with both of them, and I was extra pleased when it snowed the other day. Finally I get to wear my lovely hand knitted things to keep me warm, but then it's all melted now, so we don't really need them anymore, which is a shame. But yes, I'd made them specifically for going to Ireland, and then I think they spent most of the time, well, the gloves spent most of the time in my bag because it was so warm, but never mind. Right, outfit number one. You may have noticed the lighting on my outfit have changed, but it's a bit later on in the day now. I got distracted by mummy duties. Right, so here we go. This is my plan for outfit number one. So far we've got the pavone, not sure how you pronounce it, hat by Woolly Wormhead. It was in a pattern collection called Hatopia that I bought a couple of years ago. So it's a pattern that was already in my pattern library, in keeping with my thrifty theme. I'm going to use this wool, which is some Collinette Jitterbug that I've got. I've had in my collection for over 6 years, because I bought it at the Harrogate Knitting and Stitching show when I was pregnant with my eldest. It was in a selection of minis that have taken forever to use up, but this is the very last ball. I have a friend who bought 2 packs of minis at the same time. She's been struggling to use them for just as long. But yes, it's a black or a very dark sort of charcoaly grey with flashes of red, pink, orange, blue and turquoise. Oh, and a bit of purple in it as well. I'm not sure whether it's going to suit me completely, having it such a dark hat, but we shall see. The jumper is going to be the Mild Magic sweater by Stephen West. Oh, I do love his patterns. Now I'll insert a picture here. So hopefully I've put that in, and it shows you the wool that I'm going to be using. So there's a big cone of black wool that's going to be my main colour, and I'll keep that constant throughout, and the random balls of various different shades of green and different fibres and things are leftovers. Some of them are off cones that I got in charity shops or in chuck out bins. Some of them are leftover scraps from knitted socks. There's wool that I've been given. I think the 2 mohair balls, I've been given those out of other people's stashes because they were just getting rid of them. There's some that I knitted a cardigan for mum with. All sorts of scraps there, so hopefully it look really good when I finished it, because I wanted it to look black overall but with subtle flashes of colour in it. I do realise trying to make a Stephen West design appear subtle is going to be somewhat of a challenge, but I thought I'd try that and see if it worked. Yes, the big cone of black yarn is some that was in the chuck out bin. I do love a chuck out bin at one of my local shops. Now I have 2. It was the one that I normally go to, Woolly Knit. It was from there. And if there's enough of it left when I finish the jumper, I might use a couple of strands together and make some more leg warmers, because I really like them. So that was using the Simidar pattern by Melanie Berg again. Just plain black, nothing fancy, just keep my legs warm. But yeah, because it's quite a fine yarn, that one, I will have to use a couple of strands together to get a sport weight. And
this green and black tartan. Now, I've not been and found the fabric out, but I know when I went through my fabric stash the other day, I did have, actually it was before Christmas when I was having a big sort out, I did have some black and green tartan in my big box of fabric remnants, but I'm not sure if I've got enough to make a dress. I've also got some dark green taffeta, very exotic, that might work as the top piece of the dress. I haven't quite settled on which pattern to use it either. Speaking of which, we'll be back in a minute. No, I'd gone looking for the pattern book, because the green and black dress, I wanted to use the Japanese pattern book again, but I can't find it. It has disappeared completely somewhere. Well, I've tied it away somewhere safe and then just forgotten where it is. But if I find it, I shall put it in the notes. If not, I shall show you it next time, along with the fabric when I've seen if I've got enough. Oh, hello, puskins. Can you say hello? No? The cat. See, there he is. Eddie has come to say hello. Either that or he's just come to steal the wool. Hello. Yes, so the dress I'm going to make is going to be out of the Japanese sewing book. It's a shirt dress pattern that's in there. So it's got buttons up the front. I'm not going to put sleeves on, as with my usual fat arm issues. So hopefully I'll have enough fabric. And then the shawl I have cheated and have already made. At the end of last year, when I was doing various different bits of knitting, I wanted a pretty mindless potato chip knitting project, so I decided to knit a garter stitch shawl using up some more of those Collinet minis, but I thought I would fade them. I'd do my own fade. So this is what I ended up with. I've not blocked it yet. So it starts off with a dark greeny colour, fades into a slightly turquoise, then a blue purple, then a vibrant turquoise and yellow, then a slightly more subdued turquoise and the yellow, then into a white and neon, and then the last bit, the lace, the old shale lace, is some hand spun that I dyed with some food colouring. I was going for subtle hints of rainbow, and I got unicorn vomit. Very much more is more, and yes, wasn't cool, and I didn't intend for it to be quite so colourful. I can't remember what fibre this is. I know what it's not. I think it might be Polworth or Falkland, one of the two. But it's really soft and really nice. Oh, I don't think it's going to focus. No, probably not. There's a really nice spin. Plenty of squish in it. But yes, so that's what I've got left of the ball. So yes, I'd finished this at the end of last year, but without really having a purpose for it. So I thought, given that I'm using some of the collinette in the hat, and there's little scraps of the collinette that are going into the jumper, it would work well if I put this shawl as part of my outfit. And I think, crazy colour wise, it's probably going to work with the mild magic sweater quite well. But yeah, so that's already one item done. I've got, like I say, I've got still to block it, and I've still got the ends to weave in. But I really like how it's faded. Now you can see on the other side that it's actually striped. I don't know if that's how I was supposed to do a fade. I've never done a pattern with a fade in, so I was just making it up as I went along and went, well, that'll work, that seems to work, we'll have it like that. So I think officially this is actually the reverse. The side with the stripes on is the right side, but I'll wear this as the right side. Eddie, you're hiding under now. Oh, you're going inside my cardigan now. The cat loves the wool. Right, I'm going to be rude and move him now. I'm feeling guilty about moving him off the settee so I can go get the spinning, but needs must. Otherwise I'll never get this episode recorded. Right, on to the spinning. I'm back, and so's the cat. Right, I've finished 2 spins already this year, which to say, I think before then I hadn't spun for absolutely months and months and months. It's quite good going. I think I found my spinning mojo back. The first spin was very much out of my comfort zone. I'll just untangle the skein on my knee. So none of these have been, sorry, neither of these have been washed or thwacked yet. But this is the first one. This is some mohair, full mohair. Now, the woman who has this shop, the new wool shop just around the corner from me, she has Angora goats as well as some other goats, and this is more, well, the coloured bits of this is mohair from her goats. She called me into the shop the other day and gave me some, so I was very excited, but she also mocked me for loving consistent and controlled yarn, so she thought this would be a test of whether I could cope spinning something that I couldn't control, and it was much more freeform and heading towards an art yarn. And I thought, oh, I'll see what I can do with that. I was very excited as well because it was all colourful, and it was really nice that she'd given me something that was from her goats and very local, very very high welfare standards, because I've seen videos of her hugging her goats and being very very loving of them. So yes, that made me happy. But I knew that for years I'd had in my stash some white mohair that had actually come from a farm near where my partner's parents live, because my mother-in-law had given it to me as a big, well, not a big, a small bag of filthy locks. I went, there you go. And so I must have had it since before I even got pregnant with either of the girls. So I'd washed it and fluffed it out and got it all prepped for spinning but then just didn't do anything with it. I think because I was a bit too nervous of spinning it on my spindle, and then when I got my wheel I just didn't get around to it. But I thought, right, I shall spin that along with the sort of rainbow colours that she'd given me, and see what happens. And it's crazy, but it's beautiful. Look at that. Lovely. Bloopy bits. Now, it's very soft and squishy. I can't remember how many yards I've got. 200 and something, I think. It's a single spun. I think probably it's maybe a fingering weight, with thick and thin bits where there's locks that aren't stretched out and completely squashed flat. But once I'd spun it, I did think, oh, I now need to learn how to weave. So I need to weave so that I can make this into something woven. So we shall have to see what happens there. But I really do think that this would be perfect woven into, well, I don't know whether I'd get maybe a cowl. I don't think I'd get much more out of the yardage. But yes, it did make me want to learn how to weave. So that made me very happy. And then this one, also from it's from a bat that was made for the shop that is now near me. I'll put the links for it down below or on screen or something, because I know she makes bats regularly and they're very exciting. My 4-year-old came out with this one. It was purples and pinks and I think maybe really dark navy blues possibly, but I'll put a picture in of the bat and then the singles and then a close-up of the plied yarn. I think there's a tiny bit of sparkle every now and again. So I think I think this one's merino and alpaca, and then it's got some plant fibres in as well. So I'm guessing, based on what she has in the others, there's probably some bamboo, some soya, and possibly some silk in there as well. This might have had some Shetland and possibly, did I say alpaca? Maybe. But yes, the best thing about this is that my small children helped me spin it. Both girls had a go. My youngest, because she'd picked this, wanted to spin it. I wanted to help spin it. So I've got a video, actually, I'll put that in at the end for you to see. But she wanted a sister to spin on it as well, because I said when she'd picked it up and brought it home that I would make something for her out of it. And because she knew it was going to be something for her, she wanted her sister to have been involved in making it as well, which did make me get a little bit teary-eyed and emotional that they were being so nice to each other. But yes, there's 173 metres of a DK worsted weight, and I'm going to mix it with some wool I spun last year. It was fondant fibre braid in greys and purples and blues, I think. It was part of the sisters set that I'd spun. So I spun the grey and purpley pinky bluey one, and then I spun a blue and white one, and then I spun some grey as well. Now I'm coming to the realisation that grey doesn't really suit me. My plans to make those three into something for me are not going to go ahead, so I thought I'd use the grey purpley one to go with this one, and I'd make something for Erica. Don't know what yet. I'm sure now I've finished spinning it she'll be demanding that I cast it on immediately, but we shall see. We shall see. But now I just want to spin all the things. I probably could, because I do still have quite a bit of stuff in stash to spin, and I've got two more bats actually. One that my little girl and my partner made for me just before Christmas. They actually went into the shop and asked to make a bat themselves, because my little girl picked what she knew my favourite colours would be and made it into a bat for me. So it's browns and blues, and I think it's got some sparkle in there as well, which yes, I did cry on Christmas Day when I opened that. One, that they'd got me something that I actually really wanted, and two, that she'd made it herself and had picked things that she knew I'd like. Yes. And then as well as that, I've got another bat that's brown and sparkly, which I did go in and buy the other day, which doesn't really fit in keeping with my thrifty use what I have, except for the fact that that new bat that I got, combined with the skeins that I've spun up from bats from Hawkshaw sheep that I did last year, and if I spin the brown and blue bat that my child got me for Christmas, then I will have enough to actually make something useful out of them. See? It all works. I'm not just being extravagant and frivolous. It was just so pretty. And I have to walk past the shop 6 times a day. 6 times. I've started going a different route for different parts of the day, because I'm just like, I cannot go past the shop 6 times a day and not buy more stuff. Yes. Which doesn't really fit with the slow living agenda, except for the fact that they are natural fibres, except for the sparkle bush. But yes, exciting spinning. I'm hoping to do a lot more this year. Right, I think that's about it for today. I think it might take me a while to get this uploaded and edited, as it's a bit here, there and everywhere. And I'll come back to you next time, hopefully having found my pattern book, so I can tell you what the dress is and found the fabric for it, and having cast on some of the projects. Alright then, have a good couple of weeks, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.